ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यनिजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतै यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यभिमहायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ नमः श्रीशङ्करानन्द गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने सविलासमहामोह ग्राहग्रासैककर्मणि. Verse number 15. चिदानन्दमय ब्रह्म प्रतिबिम्बसमन्विता तमोरजः सत्त्वगुणा प्रकृतिर्द्विविधा च सा. So we saw this verse. The Prakriti is of twofold, and in fact, of course, it is threefold. But here first he introduces the twofold Prakriti. That is Sattva Pradhana Prakriti and Raja Pradhana Prakriti, because Tamo Raja Sattva Guna Prakriti. So the Prakriti is having these three faculties. So three faculties combined together is equal to Prakriti. Three factors combined together is called Prakriti. We have seen that. And so Prakriti does not possess these three gunas, etc. They are not attributes of the Prakriti. These three, three factors, etc. only is Prakriti. So Chidanandamaya Brahma, this Brahman or Atma which is Chidanandamaya, that's whose Swarupa is the Chidananda, Brahma Pratibimba Samanvita, well, it is this Brahman this Maya basic, the Prakriti is endowed with Samanvita. Prakriti is Samanvita. So this Prakriti is endowed with this reflection of Brahman. Prakriti is one in which the Brahman gets manifest. Prakriti is one in which the Brahman enters. They call even entry also. Enters. These are all way of saying. Not that Brahman can enter anywhere. Brahman manifest in Prakriti. That's all. That is called Pratibimba. Reflection, we should not think reflection of, the reflection of sun, etc. We should not think that way. Anyway, so Chidanandamaya Brahma Pratibimba Samanvita Prakriti. This Prakriti which is endowed with this reflection of a Brahman which is Satchidananda, which is the consciousness and existence. And that Prakriti is Tamo Rajas Sattva Guna, that is threefold. And it has three factors. And Dvivida Chasa. And that Prakriti is Dvivida. Actually, Tamo Guna Pradhana Prakriti, Sattva Guna Pradhana Prakriti, Rajo Guna Pradhana Prakriti. Therefore, he should say Trivida. Instead, he says Dvivida, because he wants to introduce later. Tamah Pradhana Prakriti wants to introduce later. That is why. So, and what are this Prakriti which is twofold? What are they? Well, says Sattva Shuddhi Avishuddhi Bhyam Maya Vidyecha Te Mate Maya Bimbo Vashikritya Tamsyat Sarvajna Ishvara. Verse number 16. I have just read it. So, Sattva Shuddhi Vishuddhi Bhyam Maya Vidyecha Te Mate Maya Bimbo Vashikritya tam syat sarvajna ishvarah. Anyway, so this Prakriti is twofold. And and what is that? So the consciousness will reflected in the Prakriti. Well, that is twofold. Vishuddhi Vyam Sattva Shuddhi. Sattva Shuddhi means which is pure Sattva. So you can say Vishuddha Sattva also. And that is one. And the other one is Avishuddhi. Well, that is Malina Sattva, you can say. So these twofold Prakritis are there. One is Vishuddha Sattva and the other is Malina Sattva. Malina Sattva means Vishuddha Sattva means, well, definitely Rajoguna, Tamoguna have no impact on the Sattva. Malina Sattva means that Sattva Guna is influenced by definitely Rajoguna and Tamoguna. So this is how Malina Sattva. So, and they are known as what? Maya Vidya means Maya and Avidya. So Maya cha Avidya cha. So that is how the samasa is. Maya cha Avidya cha Maya Vidya. And this Sattva Pradhana Prakriti is called Maya. And this Malina Sattva, Vishuddha Sattva Pradhana Prakriti is called Maya. Vishuddha Sattva Pradhana Prakriti is called Maya. And Malina Sattva Pradhana Prakriti is called Avidya. And well, Maya Vidya cha te mate, they are known. Te mate means they are known. There is a man dhatu. Man dhatu we have already seen. Man dhatu means to consider, to know. And matam means basically we have seen also, known. Yasya matam tasya matam, etc. We have seen in Kenopanishad. So matam means known. So here te mate, they are known. They are known as what? They are known as Maya and Avidya. This Prakriti which is twofold, dvividha, twofold, they are known as Maya and Avidya. And through which Sattva Shuddhi, Avishuddhi. So Sattva Shuddhi means Vishuddha Sattva Prakriti, well, is called Maya, and Malina Sattva Prakriti, which here he calls it as Avishuddhi. That Malina Sattva Prakriti is called Avidya. This is how it is. And Brahman is reflected in both. Brahman manifests in both the Prakriti. That's a medium. Medium of reflection. It requires a medium. And so definitely it's a very subtle, and Parmeshwara gets reflected in that, Parmeshwara manifests in that, Parmeshwara entered into that, etc. etc. There is a Pravesha Shruti in Upanishad, they also the same thing. Like, the sun enters the the bucket of water. Means what? Sun gets reflected in bucket of water. And so Vishuddha Sattva Prakriti, which is called Maya, is very bright medium. And therefore, basically, the Brahman get reflected in that Maya, that is Vishuddha Sattva, pure Sattva, and therefore it is very bright in nature. So it becomes Sarvagnya. That's what it says. Tam syat Sarvagnya Ishvaraha. So he becomes Sarvagnya through that medium. So, and definitely, because Vishuddha Sattva, in fact, we also want Sattva to, we want through Karma Yoga, etc., that our Sattva should increase. Because so that the Jnanam can take place. Karma Yoga does a job of this, reducing Tamoguna and Rajoguna's effect. That's the only thing, Ragadvesha. And so definitely the Sattva increases. And definitely then you can get a Jnanam. That's how Bhagavan told it in Bhagavad Gita as Sattvat Sanjayate Jnanam. If there is a Sattva in the mind, definitely knowledge can take place. Here Vishuddha Sattva. And Brahman gets reflected into that. And that is called Ishvaraha. Definitely, being Vishuddha Sattva, medium, he is Sarvagnya, omniscient. And being omniscient, he controls the Maya. So that's how it is said. Vashikritya, tam vashikritya. Tam means mayam. Tam mayam vashikritya. Now vashikritya, it is avasham vasham krutva, like that it is. Which is basically, this is how it's generally said, but here we should not take it that way. Vashikritya means here, keeping Maya under his control. He wields the Maya. He is not controlled by the Maya. That is told even in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavan said, Ajopi san navve atma bhutanam ishwaropi san prakritim swam adhishthaya Sambhavami Atma Maya. Well, with my own Maya, I mean, wielding my own Maya, I take a birth. That is Avatara, etc. Bhagavan said in 4th chapter in Bhagavad Gita. So, basically, Vashikritya. Tam Mayam Vashikritya. Parmeshwara is not under the control of Maya. Parmeshwara is a controller of Maya, basically. And now you said reflection, etc. So, it is reflected consciousness in Maya, that is Ishvara. Then definitely you need something else. Reflection occurs, there are other things possible. Other things are required. Just a minute, somebody is talking. Anyway, so what is required if reflection is there? Definitely reflecting medium is required. Not only reflecting medium, you require original consciousness, that is also there. So Brahman also should be there. Without the sun, how can be a reflection of a sun? I mean, whenever the reflection of sun is there, you will have to consider along with that the Bimba Surya. I mean, original sun also you have to take into account. So Ishvara is equal to what? Brahman, that is original consciousness, plus a reflecting medium, that is Maya, plus reflection, and that is reflected consciousness, and plus something else also we have to add, and that is Tamah Pradhana Prakriti also we should add. So Ishvara is nothing, Ishvara is equal to all four things. Original consciousness, that is Brahman, plus reflecting medium called Maya, plus naturally the reflection also will be there. Ishvara means a reflection, reflected consciousness, and fourth is Tamah Pradhana Prakriti also we should add. We will see how, with Tamah Pradhana Prakriti, Ishvara is called Upadana Karanam. We will see that later. So anyway, all these four things we have to include in Ishvara. And this is how through this Prakriti, one of the Prakriti, Vishuddha Sattva Prakriti, the Brahman is called, this is Upadi basically. Brahman cannot become Ishvara. Upadi is something, through which the Brahman appears a little differently. Appears. It is just an appearance. Ishvara is an appearance. A creator is an appearance, etc. We'll see that. Now, verse number 17. Avidya vashagastvanyah tadvai chitryadane kadha sakarana shariram syat pragnyas tatra vimanavan. Anyaha tu, anyaha, other than, what other than? First you said Maya Pratibimbita Chaitanyam, that is Ishvara, you have said in the verse number 16. Now Anyaha, Vidyaranya says. The other one is Avidya Pratibimbita Chaitanya. Their Prakriti is twofold, right? One is Maya, one is Avidya. One is Vishuddha Sattva, other is Malina Sattva. So now Malina Sattva, which we call it as Avidya. So Avidya Pratibimbita Brahman, Avidya Pratibimbita Chaitanyam, which is called what? Jivaha. That's called Jivaha. And here it is said Avidya Vashagaha. Yeah, so that's a difference. When Parmeshwara, Ishvara is one who wields Maya. Tam Vashikritya, it has been told. So Brahman, when it reflects into a Maya Prakriti, the Maya, then definitely it is a Vishuddha Sattva, and through that he is a Sarvajna, and he wields the Maya. Whereas Avidya is one in which the Brahman gets reflected, then definitely he is under the control of Avidya. So as a Jiva. So Avidya also we have seen yesterday, it is Rajah Pradhana Prakriti. So omniscience is not there, definitely. If there is a Sattva, Vishuddha Sattva, then there is omniscience. Here it is, omniscience is not there. And therefore ignorance makes Jiva a Dasa. Ishvara is a Swami through Maya because he controls that Maya. Now since this Jiva is under the control of Avidya, he is a Dasa. So it has been said here, Avidya Vashagaha. Vasham Gacchati iti Vashagaha. Vasham Gacchati means he remains under the control of Avidya. Avidya Vashagaha. Avidyayaha Vasham Gacchati iti Avidya Vashagaha. So which remains under the control of Avidya. Anyaha. Anyaha means this, other one means this. First one is a Maya Pratibimbita Chaitanya, that is Ishvara. Anyaha means this Avidya Pratibimbita Chaitanya, which is called Jiva. And here the word tu is there. Avidya Vashagaha tu. Anyaha tu. Tu means parantu. Means it shows it is called as a Vailakshanya Dyotanartha. So here it wants to show, Vidyaranya wants to show the contrast from the previous verse, the description. So there it has been told Ishvara is the one who is a Swami of the Maya. Well, here it has been told is here the Jiva is one which is under the control of a Avidya. So there is a Vilakshanata. Vilakshanata means there is a contrast. And for that it has been shown. Ishvara is a master of Maya. Jiva is a slave of Maya. To show that contrast, they have used the word tu. Anyaha tu. Avidya vashagastvannyaha. So avidya vashagaha tu anya. And then, so we can define now Jiva and Ishvara like this. Ishvara means what? Brahman plus, of course, reflected consciousness, Pratibimba, plus Maya, plus Tamah Pradhana Prakriti. That is Ishvara. Jiva means what? Brahman plus Avidya plus reflection is Jiva, because it is a reflected consciousness. And Ishvara also is a reflected consciousness. Anyway, I will summarize it little later. So, Tad Vaichitryad Anekadha. Tad Vaichitryad Anekadha. Jiva is manifold. Anekadha means manifold. Vividha, twofold. Trividha, threefold, etc. Chaturtha, like that, this is how it is. So, Anekadha means Jiva is a manifold. So, Vaichitrayat, because Jiva is a several. Vaichitrayat means several shades. Vaichitram, Vichitram word in Sanskritam is equal to variegated. Yeah. So, several colors are there in a given canvas, suppose. Several colors in a given painting, let's say. So, we can call it as a Vichitram. Of course, in Gujarati and some, the word Vichitram has a different meaning. But here, Vichitram, etc. means basically, Vichitram is variegated. So, this Avidya is variegated. And and so that is how it is manifold. So, on account of what? Because manifold Sanchitas are there, manifold Vasanas are there. And therefore, Avidya, which is he is going to call as a Karana Shariram. See, in the second line it has been told. Sa Avidya Karana Shariram Syat. That Avidya is called Karana Shariram. And Karana Shariram basically is a Karanam for a given subtle body, given gross body, etc. And therefore, Karana Shariram is a seed. It has many things. It has a Sanchita, it has so many Vasanas, everything. And of course, ignorance, etc. is also there. Avidya is there. So that is how this Rajapradhana Prakriti, which is called Avidya, which is called Karana Shariram, same thing. All three things are equal. I mean synonymous. And also on account of that Avidya or Karana Shariram, well, Brahman gets reflected into that Avidya or Karana Shariram, or which is reflected into Rajapradhana Prakriti. That Jiva is called Prajna, because Avidya is there and he is under the control of Avidya, Avidya Vashagaha, and therefore Prakarshena Agnya, Prajna. So Jiva is basically more or less ignorant. Whatever he knows during life is very less, more or less ignorant. He is born with ignorance and he goes also with ignorance. And that is how the ignorance perpetuates all the time. Tatra Abhimanavan. So Prajna Tatra Abhimanavan. Karana Sharire. Tatra means there. There means Karana Sharira Abhimanavan. So he is identified with the Karana Shariram. So this is how the Prakriti is twofold, etc. And Brahman reflects into both the mediums. He is called Ishvara and Jiva, etc. And basically, we should remember this, that this Prakriti is a mithya thing, and definitely the Brahman is Satyam, which we have discussed so much in Tattva Bodha. All this we have discussed. How it is mithya, etc. we have discussed. So basically, Jiva also is a Brahman. by nature, Satchidananda, and Ishvara also is a Satchidananda, Brahman. But on account of Upadhi, well, they appear different. And so this is how we have to understand. So now everything is ready. Basically, Creator is ready, Ishvara is ready now. Creature, Jiva also is there. So Creator and the creature both are there. Now what? The creature, the Jiva, is basically identified with the Karana Shariram. Now he definitely wants what? He wants two Shariras. So creation should take place. Creator is ready, creature is ready to experience Sukha Dukkha, but along with the Karana Sharira we cannot experience. So he definitely needs other two bodies. For that Ishvara has to create. Ishvara has to create both the bodies, and Ishvara has to create the world by which he can experience Sukha Dukkha. And therefore now he talks about creation. But before that, I would like to summarize something regarding what we have seen. Because I think Vidyaranya has not explicitly mentioned those things. I would like to go through that. Only few lines are there, but you kindly, pay attention to that. So Prakriti is divided into three things. Certain things you may find repetition, but don't worry about it. And that is Sattva Pradhana Prakriti, that is Maya. Then Malina Sattva Pradhana Prakriti, that is Vishuddha Sattva, you can say. Vishuddha Sattva Pradhana Prakriti, that is Maya. Malina Sattva Pradhana Prakriti, that is called Avidya. And third is Tamah Pradhana Prakriti, that name is not given. So Malina Sattva Pradhana Prakriti is called Rajah Pradhana Prakriti. It is called Avidya also. And Tamah Pradhana Prakriti, for that Vidyaranya has not given any name. For other two Prakritis, totally three, Sattva, Rajah Pradhan and Tamah Pradhan, he is giving the name for the first two. Now, so we have to understand this very well. This Tamah Pradhana Prakriti means not only Tamoguna is there. I will, because you are going to raise a question, I know very well. So before that I will tell you. Tamah Pradhana Prakriti means predominance of Tamoguna. But a little bit Sattva-guna and Rajoguna also are there. And that I will explain you how. Anyway, so this is, Sattva-guna and Rajoguna are very suppressed in that Tamah Pradhana Prakriti. And Brahman is Chaitanyam, and Maya and Avidya both are Achaitanam, both are Mithya, both are inert. And at this point, we have to remember one point that Vidyaranya does not explicitly mention is all the three are Anadi. All the three are Anadi means what? Brahman is Anadi, Maya is Anadi, and Avidya also is Anadi. Prakriti is Anadi, but now let's divide into two. So Maya is Anadi, then Avidya is also Anadi, and Brahman also is Anadi. And basically, so many our Vedantic students also sometimes do a mistake saying that Maya is a product of Brahman. So Maya is not a product of Brahman. Basically Maya is Anadi. Brahman is also Anadi. And therefore who will be Anadi? Please tell me. If Maya is Anadi and Brahman also is Anadi, then what will be Anadi? The reflection also will be Anadi. Ishvara also is Anadi. If Maya is Anadi, the medium is Anadi, Brahman, that is also Anadi, then the Brahman which is reflects into the Maya also will be Anadi, and therefore Ishvara also is Anadi. That is the fourth one. Now Avidya is Anadi, right? And Brahman also is Anadi. Then Brahman getting reflected into Avidya, that is called Jiva, also will be Anadi. So the five Anadis are there. In Vedanta we have five Anadis, and that is Brahman, Maya, Avidya, Ishvara and Prajna, Jiva. All these are beginningless. And the beginningless means they are not created. That's all. Jiva is not created. Ishvara is not created. Avidya is not created. Maya is not created. And Brahman is also not created. Anyway, this we are talking, like some theorem kind of a thing. But we will have to go through that. So, everything is Anadi. Anadi means they are not created. And definitely, And since they are anadi, therefore all may be satyam also a person may feel, but it is not so. All five are anadi, but some of the things have a end. They are anadi, but they have a anta also. And therefore other than Brahman, other four anadis, they can come to end. And therefore they are mithya. Which is anadi and anantam, which is beginningless and which has no end. That is satyam. Which is beginningless and which has no end. Well, definitely that is satyam. But which has no beginning. So Brahman is one which is beginningless and it is endless also. There is no end. And therefore that is satyam. Other four, that is Maya, Avidya, Jiva and Ishvara. They are anadi, beginningless. But they come, their end is there. End is there means through knowledge. Don't think any other way. So their end is there. Well, when one knows that I am Brahman, for that Jiva, Ishvara, everything becomes mithya. Maya also becomes mithya. Avidya also has gone. And that is how basically, so even though all five are anadi, four are mithya, one is satyam. Brahman is satyam, other four are even though anadi, but they come to an end and therefore they are mithya. Mithya means its existence has come to an end now, and definitely it is. All the four are mithya. And this this our Brahman basically is one. The reflections are two. That also I have told you. I am just summarizing anything which is perhaps a point may be left over or something. So then two reflecting mediums are there. Maya and Avidya both are there. Through Maya, that Brahman is called Ishvara, and through Avidya he is called Prajna or Jiva. And since Ishvara is associated with the Maya, definitely Maya is the Shuddha Sattva, and therefore Ishvara is Sarvajna, and Ishvara has all knowledge. All knowledge means all knowledge. Means he has also knowledge of pertaining to the self. Everything, all knowledge is there. And that is what has been told even in the Mundaka Upanishad. Yes Sarvajnaha Sarvavid, Yasya Jnanamayam Tapaha. For Ishvara it has been told like that. Well, Ishvara does not suffer the problem of ignorance. And since ignorance is absent, samsara also is absent. So Ishvara is not a samsari also. Ishvara is Nitya Mukta. Even avatars of Ishvara also, well, they are also not affected by samsara. So this has been, this is regarding Ishvara. And that is why we do namaskara to him, because he happens to be the Adi Guru, because he is a Sarvajna and he initiates the Brahma Vidya. And that is how you can start from Narayanam or you can start from Sadashiva Samarambham. Anywhere you start, but ultimately any knowledge, the source of knowledge should be omniscient. And therefore, Ishvara is the one who is a Prathama Guru. He has no ignorance. So he has not to go to any Guru. Ishvara is a Prathama Guru. That's how Dakshinamurti we worship as a Prathama Guru. And he initiates the entire Sampradaya, etc. Anyway, then Jiva is associated with Avidya, which is Malina Sattva Pradhana Prakriti. And he has a knowledge, of course, that I am. But he does not have a total knowledge that I am Brahman, etc. And therefore, so he has a partial knowledge. And partial knowledge leads to misconception that we have seen yesterday. And therefore, he has so many misconceptions. And because of misconception, he has a samsara. Samsara means misconception. That's all. Because if you miss that, if you miss this knowledge that I am Brahman, I am limitless, then other than that, whatever you think about yourself will be in terms of certain limitations only. And therefore, all misconceptions regarding yourself, centered on the self, basically have one thing common, that I am a limited being. That's all. Either you call yourself as I am a human being, etc., whatever you call, but ultimately, this is the thing. And therefore, so this is how Jiva is a samsari, and he has to gain knowledge. He is under the control of ignorance, And so he has to remove the ignorance, and for that he needs knowledge, etc. Ishvara and Jiva, this is how the Veda. One Brahman, because of Upadhi, one is Sarvajna, one is ignorant, one is Ajnani, etc. One is not a Samsari, one is Nitya Muktaha, one is Samsari, etc. etc. And one fills all kinds of limitation. One has misconception, other has no misconceptions, etc. etc. Because of Upadhi, one Brahman alone is like this. And so, sa karanana sharisham syat avidya anekada, etc. So, this basically sa avidya is not, this avidya is called karana shariram, and tatra abhimanavan prajna. In the karana shariram, who has an identification that jiva, well, it is called prajna, prakarshina, more or less is ignorant. And this avidya is a vaichitryad anekada, because of sanchit karmas are infinite, etc. And therefore, definitely, vasanas are infinite, and therefore, definitely, the anekada, manifold. This avidya is a manifold. Anyway, now let's go ahead. Tamah pradana prakrutehe tadbhogayeshwaragneya viyat pavante jombubuvah bhutani jagnire. Now, as I told you, the creator Ishvara is ready, and the creature Jiva also is there. And then third thing is required, that is creation now. For the experiencing karma phala, Jiva has to experience this karma phala of his punya papa. He has to experience whatever the result are there. He needs bodies. Without body, he cannot experience. And therefore, now Ishvara has to create both the bodies and the Vishaya, some objects also, the world. So, we have seen that Ishvara is there. Ishvara means what? Now you should remember, Ishvara means this original consciousness, that is Brahman, and then reflected consciousness, of course, and reflected consciousness, that is Ishvara, then needs a medium, that is Sattva Pradhana Prakriti, Vishuddha Sattva Pradhana Prakriti, that is called Maya, and also Tamah Pradhana Prakriti also is there. Now, from Sattva Pradhana Prakriti standpoint, this Ishvara is called Nimitta Karana. Naturally, because Nimitta Karana has knowledge. Where knowledge, skill, etc. is there, and the capacity to create also should be there. All this thing is there in a Nimitta Karana. And therefore, desire also should be there. Well, so Nimitta Karanam possesses this. So, Sattva Pradhana Prakriti is helpful, definitely. Getting associated with Sattva Pradhana Prakriti and becoming a Ishvara, he becomes a Nimitta Karanam for the entire creation. But now from Tamah Pradhana Prakriti standpoint, the same Ishvara is called Upadana Karanam. So this is how we have to add. From Sattva Pradhana Prakriti standpoint, Ishvara is a Nimitta Karanam. From Tamah Pradhana Prakriti standpoint, he is called Upadana Karanam. That is how Ishvara is a Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam. Ishvara is like a spider. Yeah, we have that example, Ishvara is a spider. In Mundaka Upanishad, it has been given this example. And spider is a Nimitta Karanam, efficient cause for the web, and he is also the material also. From his own saliva, he makes the entire web. And anyway, so consider that Ishvara is a spider and he is bringing out saliva for the whole creation. So, the whole creation evolves. Jagnire. Jagnire means Ajayanta, were born. There is a Jan Dhatu in a fourth conjugation. You know this root. Jan Jayate. Na Jayate Mriyate Va Kadachit. So, Jayate. Jayate means to be born, basically. The original root is Jan, but it has converted into Ja while making verbal forms. So, Jayate means to be born. So, this is a past tense of that. Jagnire. Because we are talking about creation. So, it's a remote past. Nobody has seen. It's called Paroksha Bhutkal. So, it is a remote past tense, which is not experienced by anything. Most of the historical things have been expressed in this past tense. There are 2-3 types of past tense in Sanskritam. This is a Paroksha Bhutkal. Paroksha Bhutkal means nobody has seen. Paroksha. remote past. And we are talking about creation now. Who has seen the creation? Nobody has seen. Anyway, so that is how Jagnire means they were born. But what were born? Bhutani, Sukshma Bhutani, Jagnire. This Sukshma Bhutani, the 5 subtle elements, were born. Well, from what? Tamah Pradhana Prakrutehe. From Tamah Pradhana Prakriti, it is born. So Tamah Pradhana Prakriti is a material basically. So all the 5 elements are born, subtle elements are born. You have to bring your chart, bring means you are not, it is in your home only. So you keep that chart while we discuss all these issues. And so these 5 subtle elements were born from Tamah Pradhana Prakriti. Because that's a Ishvara's Upadhi, in which Sattva-guna and Rajoguna were very less. But for Tamah Pradhana Prakriti, no new name is given. Raja Pradhana Prakriti, Avidya name is given. Sattva Pradhana Prakriti, Maya name is given. But here it is not given. But okay, then Tamah Pradhana Prakriti evolves on its own? No. Ishvara Agnyaya, it has been told here. Ishvara Agnya. So by the Sankalpa of Ishvara, by intelligent principle. If the creation is intelligent, therefore some intelligence is involved. Even creation of this, I cannot say that from plastic it has evolved on its own. Right? From plastic it has evolved on its own, we cannot say. Some intelligence is involved. Some maker must be there. Therefore says Ishvara Agnya. Ishvara, who is a conscious entity, intelligent, who is a Sarvagnya. Through Ishvara Agnya means through that Sankalpa of Ishvara, well, this Tamah Pradhana Prakriti evolves into 5 subtle elements. And that Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jalam and Prithvi. That has been told in Taittiriya also. So kamayata bahusyam prajayeti saha kamayata. He desired, Brahman desired, along with the Maya, the Ishvara desired, bahusyam, may I become many, prajaya, may I become many. So that is how Ishvara is right there, right? The medium is there, Tamah Pradhana Prakriti. He is, of course, we cannot say he got reflected into that, but Ishvara is associated with it, and definitely, so he is evolved into this creation. And this is a difference. Ishvara Agnya itself is, by saying that, Vidyaranya makes a difference between us and Sankhyas. This difference between us and Sankhya is this. Sankhya says, Sankhya's are Nirishwarvadis. So they say God is not required at all. And matter evolves itself. Like Big Bang. The scientists are sometimes like Nayayikas and sometimes like Sankhyas. So like scientists also say this Big Bang, they have a Big Bang theory. And they say, well, whole creation has evolved. By chance, it just came out of that, from cosmic soup, everything came out. Anyway, so from there, unicellular organism and this and that and that and everything came out from that, they say. Well, so it happens on its own. That's how Sankhya says. That is called Svabhavavada. Svabhavavada means matter itself, matter has intelligence and it evolves into this. That is a Sankhya Srushti. But we don't say. Vedanta says it is impossible. Intelligent principle is required. So matter cannot evolve into intelligent creation. And therefore Tamah Pradhana Prakriti with its matter, material, it cannot evolve into such an intelligent creation in which everything is dependent upon each other. There is no haphazard creation. So there is intelligence involved. And therefore Ishvara Agnya means by the will of God, not by the fancy of God. Yeah, fancy means his own ragadvesha. So, well, then there will be a problem. If Srushti, if it is a fancy of Ishvara, there will be a problem. Because if Ishvara has his certain ragadvesha and he creates on his own, with his fancy manner, with his ragadvesha, there will be a problem. What is the problem? They call it as a Vaishamya Nirgrunya dosha. Basically, nothing will be in order then. Vaishamya Nirgrunya dosha means, why are you born? in a such and such family. Well, because of my own karma, we say like that. So there is a rule, there is an order. There will not be order then. Vaishamya means what? Somebody definitely has done papa karma, and its result you will, have to undergo, experience. And so you do a punya karma and you don't get result. Somebody else get a, good result of it. That. So that kind of a thing. Vaishamya Nirgrunya dosha means there is no order, but you find everything in order. Therefore, if everything is in order, definitely Ragadveshas are not working there. Definitely is Ishvara's will. Ishvara's will means depending upon Jiva's karma. That is Ishvara's will. That's all. Ishvara's will is equal to as per the Jiva's karma, which you are ready to fructify from the Sanchita, from the Karana Shariram, from Avidya. Part of, a portion of it is ready to, to get fructified into Prarabdha, etc. Well, according to that, keeping that in the mind, so Ishvara has created. So Jiva has a lot of unexhausted karmas, and for the sake of that exhaustion of karmas, they require field. To exhaust karma, you require a field. Field means you need to experience all this. So it can't be exhausted without a body. So you need both the bodies, subtle body, which is bhoga sadhanam, which is basically an instrument for experiencing sukha dukkha, and bhoga ayatanam, gross body, which is basically where a jiva resides and experience sukha dukkha. So definitely, so bhoga ayatanam, sthula shariram is required. Bhoga sadhanam means experience, instruments, tools are required to experience the sukha dukkha, etc. And therefore, both the things are required, and therefore it has to be created. And what is the basis of creation? Karana Shariram or Avidya, where the Sanchita is lying. And from that Sanchita, a portion of it will be manifesting in form of these two Sharirams. It is they are created. And also from Jiva's Sanchita only, from Jiva's Sanchita of all Jivas, a portion has come out, and that's called Samashti Karma, and he creates our entire world. So both the things are required. Body also is required, and world also is required to experience sukha dukkha, to exhaust karma. And therefore, varieties of the bodies and 14 lokas, all this have been born from this. How they are born now, it has been told. Of course, we have gone through very thoroughly, so we'll go very rapidly this. So, and this Srushti has a basis in, has a basis in karma of a previous Srushti, right? And because Jiva, well, basically after the Srushti is over, when the Pralaya took place, well, Jivas basically, Brahman identified with the Karana Shariram, and well, they are lying. They are they are all prajnas. So they are all lying, unmanifest. And now, at the time of creation, they get varieties of the bodies through their own karmas, and from the samashti karmas of all jivas, a world also is born. That is correct. But so the creation has come out of the ultimately jiva's karma. If jiva's karmas are responsible for that, then that srushti where jiva did all these karmas, that srushti is born of what? That is also of karma. Karma of what? Karma of those jivas of previous srushti. Yeah, done in previous srushti. And that is how when the first srushti took place. When the first srushti took place. Well, that is not a first srushti. That is, the creation is basically a cycle. It is not a linear thing. We have explained before also. It's a circle. Creation is like a circle. And so we can never talk of a beginning and end of the creation. Bhagavan said in 15th chapter, Na rupamasyeha tathopalabhyate nanto na chadir na cha sampratishtha. Rupam, na rupam, asya, srushtehe. This creation, the swarupam, there is no swarup, there is no nature of the creation. Means what is that? There is no nature. But creation is not satyam. Why? Because nanto na chadir na cha sampratishtha, na antah, there is no end to this srushti. Na adihi, well, there is no beginning. Nacha Sampratishtha, there is no in between also. A beginning is not there of this Srishti, and end also is not there. In between also it is like that only. There is really not creation. It wants to say that way. So anyway, so there is no Prathama Srishti. There is no Prathama Srishti, and therefore it's an eternal cycle. And what is moksha is putting an end. Moksha is not putting an end to the cycle. Moksha is basically coming out of that cycle. You cannot put an end because the Srishti is Anadi and it will go on. It will go on, and several Srishtis have happened before and they are going to be there. So in that, from that cycle or the circle, we call it as a merry-go-round basically. From that merry-go-round, which has become a sorry-go-round now for you, when you enter into the circle, and then you like very much. You go on the height and then you come down, and then again you go on the height and you come down. After several rounds, you see why that person is not stopping the switch, and he is shouting that I am not able to stop the switch, and then you see what happens to you. So basically, what can you do now? The circle will go on and on. Now it has become a sorry-go-round now, and then you want to come out of it. So you jump out of that. What can you do? That is moksha. Moksha means you jump out of this circle. You cannot put an end to that. It's Ishvara Srishti. It goes on and on and on. Several kalpas have gone, and again they will be there, and therefore it will go on. You come out of the circle. That's all it means, moksha. Anyway, so basically tad bhogaya. So tad bhogaya, for jeev bhogaya, for experiencing, for the sake of experiencing karma phala, well, Ishvara does the creation. That is how it has been said. Now verse number 19. And what he created? This Viyat, 5 elements I told you. Bhutani were born, the subtle elements were born. And what are those 5 subtle elements that has been told? Viyat. Viyat means Akasha, space. Pavanaha means Vayu. Tejaha means Agni. Ambuhu means water. And Bhuvaha, Bhu means Prithvi. Bhuvaha is basically it's a plural form because all the elements are combined together in the Dvandva Samasa. So at the end they have to make a plural form, and therefore Bhu means a Prithvi. All these 5 subtle elements were born from the Tamak Pradhana Prakriti of Ishvara, and through Ishvara Agnya means through the will of Ishvara, with the intelligent principle being there. Tad bhogaya means for the jiva's bhoga, for the sake of experiencing karma phala by the jiva. He creates both the bodies and also creates the world. And so 19. Sattvam shai panchabhistesham kramadindriya panchakam shrotratvagakshirasanam granakhyam upajayate. So now organs, we have seen that in Tattvabodha all the organs are being talked about. Jnanendriya Srishti first. Jnanendriya Srishti is talked about. Kramat means respectively. So, well, it has been told here, Sattvam Shaihi Panchabhihi. Sattvam Shaihi. From the Sattvamsha, from the Sattva aspect of all these 5 subtle elements, Panchabhihi means from this Sattvam Shaihi Panchabhihi means from the Sattva aspect of these 5 elements, subtle elements. Indriya Panchakam Jaya Upajayate. We have to supply that. So, Indriya Panchakam. Panchakam means a group of 5. See, we should understand, sometime word Panchavidham comes. Panchavidham means 5-fold. Panchakam means a group of 5. Manisha Panchakam, like, Manisha Panchakam, we say like that. Atma Shatkam, so a group of 6 verses. Krishna Ashtakam, a group of 8 verses. So like that. Panchakam is a group of 5. So here, of course, Indriya Panchakam, a group of 5 sense organs. If Vidham etc. comes, Panchavidham, Dividham, Trividham etc., then you have to translate it as a 5-fold, 2-fold, 3-fold etc. But here, Kam indicates a group. Panchakam, Kam indicates a group of 5. Anyway, so here, Kramat, respectively, this Indriya Panchakam has been born, and five sense organs are born from the sattva aspect of these five subtle elements. And these five subtle elements are born from what? They are born from tamah pradhana prakriti. That is how the whole krama is. And therefore, from tamah pradhana prakriti, well, the five subtle elements are born. And from that five subtle elements, of course, definitely, which is basically has a tamoguna in pradhana, but which has a rajoguna and sattoguna in a suppressed form. We have to add that. Otherwise, how will the Jnanendriya born? Because you have learnt already Tattvabodha. You will immediately ask me, from tamoguna, how can Jnanendriyas are born? So, from sattva aspect, if they are born, then tamah pradhana prakriti, well, is there. Out of that, five elements are born, and from the five elements, sattva aspect of the five elements, how the indriyas are born? Because sattva itself is not there. You are saying tamah pradhana prakriti. Well, tamah pradhana prakriti means predominance of tamaha, but in a suppressed form, then rajoguna, sattoguna also is there. Otherwise, subtle body cannot be born. Subtle body cannot be born. Anyway, so we know that. So, upajayate, Indriya Panchakam upajayate, is born. And what are that? That's how Kramat has been told. So, Kramat means respectively. Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jalam and Prithvi. Subtle elements. And the Sattva aspect of that. Subtle elements. From that, you have to write five sense organs. Respectively. Means from Sattva aspect of the Akasha, Shrotram is born. Hearing faculty. And the same way Tvak. From the subtle aspect of the air, Vayu. Well, that is subtle element. This skin, I mean the sense organ of touch, not skin as such, sense organ of touch is born. Then Akshi, Akshi means eye. I have told you Aksham means sense organ and Akshi means eyes. That's the difference between these two words, Aksham and Akshi. Anyway, so Akshi, definitely what is the element, respective element? A fire. So from the sattva aspect of the fire element, subtle element, this the organ, sense organ of seeing, etc. I mean eyes are born. And rasanam, a sense organ of taste, is born from the sattva aspect of the jalam. And granam, from the sattva aspect of the prithvi, well, this granam. Granam means a sense organ of smell is born. Upajayate. So this is how Indriya Panchakam upajayate. A group of five senses are born. And and from verse 20, then Antakaranam is born, and from another Karmendriyas are born, etc. That kind of in 3 verses, he completes the entire creation. 3 or 4 verses, he completes the entire creation. And then some other discussion is there. We will see that. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.